The 2030 Agenda. Our recognition that our future is in peril unless we reverse the persisting levels of poverty and hunger, the growing inequalities within and among countries, the millions affected by conflict, injustice, and exclusion, the deterioration of our planet in dire need of healing and protection. Our recognition that progress has to be for all people in a way that is inclusive and just, and that can be sustained over time and across generations. Our quest to find new pathways for sustainable and inclusive progress. At its core, the 2030 Agenda is a global promise to create an inclusive, secure, resilient, and sustainable future for everyone, everywhere. Reflected in 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, with 169 targets to be reached by 2030. There are 6 principles underlining all these goals and targets. A human rights-based approach to development, leave no one behind, gender equality and women's empowerment, resilience, sustainability, and accountability.
And I should add at last the need for much stronger global cooperation. COVID has shown us that we are globally interdependent, and I think it's a wake-up call to work in the future together to address all the consequences and to create a reset in our economic, social, ecological thinking. Now, when we look at COVID, I think we should distinguish between 3 phases. We have the 3 R's. Restrain, which means to fight the virus, the hot phase. Most countries are in today. Then we have recover, to go back to a kind of new normal. And finally, the reset, which means to define and to design the strategies which should lead us in the after-corona phase.
This time, with the pandemic's economic crisis, indeed the 27 member states trusted the European level. With their guarantees, they backed the European Commission to raise capital on the market and to invest it mainly in our 2 priorities, the European Green Deal and digitalization. We called this huge recovery program of 800 billion euros Next Generation EU. But fundamentally, today's gas crisis must serve to accelerate the transition to clean energy. It must provide the impetus we need to further integrate our energy market. And we must ensure that there are no energy islands or regions of Europe that are cut off from our network. We're working on all these points. But most importantly, we have to manage this necessary transition carefully. There will never be a linear shift from a fossil fuel-based system to the clean energy system. We must be upfront about that. But the direction is clear, and so is our commitment. As we respond to this gas crisis, we will focus on protecting those most affected. We will accelerate the transition, and we will ensure that we have the reliable suppliers we need.
Then look at the debt which we are loading on our shoulders. The world was already indebted at an amount of over 300% of GDP. Now the rescue programs of the governments represent another $10 trillion, which will be added to our debt load and will have to be in some way be repaid by future generations. I'm also, of course, looking at the unemployment, which and the impact on livelihoods. We know many people, according to the ILO, about 50% of people in the world will be affected, combined, taking the combined effects of COVID-19 and the fourth industrial revolution.